It was built to do one thing: survive the ice. The very first ship on Earth made for Antarctica. A ship that didn't run from icebergs, it attacked them. It crushed solid ice and just kept on sailing. For almost 40 years, nothing could stop it. It even rescued other ships trapped in the ice. Famous explorers trusted it with their lives. The world called it the Little Red Ship, and this night, 154 people slept aboard it. Calm water, no storm, no towering iceberg in sight. The safest ship in the coldest sea on the planet. Then, just before 11 o'clock at night, a sickening sound tore right through the hull. One scrape, one shudder, one terrible mistake. The captain wasn't worried. He'd done this many times. But far below the sleeping passengers' feet, freezing black water was already pouring inside. The one ship on Earth that could beat the ice was about to be swallowed whole by it. This is the night the Little Red Ship died. But here is what makes this story so haunting. There was no monster iceberg out there, no hurricane, no screaming chaos, not at first. Just black water, dead silence, and one bad decision. Naval experts would later say it very plainly. This ship should never have sunk at all. Its hull was built specifically to survive that hit. So how did it end up on the ocean floor? And trapped in that freezing pitch-black sea, how many of those 154 people made it out? Stay with me to the end because this answer is the complete opposite of the Titanic. But to understand how this legend sank, you first have to know why it became a legend. Our story begins all the way back in the 1960s. Back then, Antarctica was almost completely untouchable. The seas around it were packed with deadly ice. Most ships wouldn't even dare go near it. Everyone remembered what ice did to the Titanic. But one man saw an opportunity nobody else could. His name was Lars-Erik Lindblad, a Swedish explorer and a sharp businessman. He had a wild idea: bring ordinary tourists to Antarctica. People everywhere dreamed of seeing that frozen white world with their own eyes. But the problem was simple. No normal ship could survive those ice-choked waters. So Lindblad decided to do something absolutely nobody had ever attempted before. He would build a ship designed for one purpose only: to fight the ice. And in 1969, the Lindblad Explorer was finally born. It wasn't a huge ship, but it was unbelievably tough. Normally, a ship in these waters needs an icebreaker leading the way. But this one didn't. Its bow was shaped to ride right up onto the ice. Then the ship's own heavy weight would crack and crush the ice beneath it. And on top of that, it had a double hull, 2 full layers of steel. If the outer layer ever tore open, the inner layer would still hold. On paper, this ship was almost completely impossible to sink. And so the Little Red Ship quickly became a worldwide legend. It carried adventurers to places where no tourist had ever set foot. It became the first cruise ship ever to sail the Northwest Passage. It pushed deep into the Amazon and circled frozen, forgotten islands. And when other ships got stuck or wrecked, it sailed in to save them. Over the decades, it was sold, renamed, and then sold all over again. But it never once lost its name as the toughest ship of its kind. Then, in 2004, a Canadian travel company bought it for the last time. They gave it one final name we still remember: the MS Explorer. And on November 11, 2007, the legendary ship set sail once more. The plan was an exciting 19-day voyage deep into Antarctica. The passengers on board had come from all over the world, more than 100 people from over 14 different countries. Tourists, expert guides, and crew minus 154 souls in total. They had come to retrace the path of a legendary polar explorer, and every single one of them trusted this ship completely. And honestly, why wouldn't they? Its captain was a seasoned veteran. Captain Bengt Wyman had spent years and years out at sea. He had sailed icy waters before and felt he knew them well. For the first 10 days, the journey was perfect. Penguins, whales, towering glaciers. It was a dream come true. And then came the fateful night of November 22nd. Ahead of the ship lay a wide field of thick, drifting ice. And here, the captain made a choice that would change everything. He decided to push the ship straight through that ice field. He was convinced it was thin, young ice, easy enough to break. He even warned the passengers they'd hear loud bumps and scrapes. "Don't worry," he told them. "It's completely normal. Just go to sleep." And so they did. They trusted his judgment without a second thought. Tucked into their warm cabins, they slowly drifted off to sleep. Outside, the ship ground its way slowly through the black, icy water. But the captain was dangerously wrong about that ice. This was not the soft, harmless first-year ice he imagined. It was old, hard, glacial ice as unforgiving as solid rock. At around 10:45 that night, the ship slammed into it hard. A violent jolt shook the entire vessel from end to end. Passengers jerked awake with pounding hearts, but they stayed calm. After all, The captain had already warned them about the noise. The captain felt that impact too, and he badly underestimated it. He simply tried to push the ship forward through the ice again. But moments later, panicked screams echoed through the corridors. Down in the lowest cabins, freezing seawater was rushing in fast. The hard ice had carved a long, deep wound into the hull, and the ship's famous trusted double hull had completely failed. Cold water poured in faster and faster with every passing second. When the captain finally saw the damage, his face went pale. He had thought it was minor. It was anything but minor. The water was climbing through the ship with terrifying speed. And at last he understood the truth: this ship could not be saved. He ordered his crew to immediately send out a distress signal, a desperate cry for help into the freezing Antarctic night. The flooding even crept up through the ship's own internal drains. Every sink, toilet, and pipe began backing up with dark seawater. And then the rising water finally reached the engine room. A massive short circuit hit, and just like that, all power died. The entire ship plunged into total darkness in a single instant, and the pumps fighting to hold back the flood shut down completely. Now the helpless explorer began tilting hard over to one side. The crew rushed to get every single person into lifeboats and rafts. All 154 people climbed out into the wide-open polar sea. No roof, no heat, just freezing wind and endless dark water. And they were a brutal 25 miles from the nearest land. Reaching that shore on their own power was simply impossible. Their only hope now was that someone, somewhere, had heard the call. And this is exactly where their luck finally began to turn. 2 other ships had picked up that faint distress signal. One of them, a vessel called the Nord-Norge, raced toward them. But it was still many hours away out in the freezing darkness. So they waited, shivering and shaking, packed into tiny boats. And high above them, their legendary ship was slowly dying. Inch by inch, the wounded explorer rolled over onto its side. The ship that had proudly ruled these icy seas for decades finally sank beneath the very waves it had once conquered. The stunned survivors watched it vanish silently into the deep. Then they kept waiting, helpless, in the bitter, biting cold. Hours dragged on. The deadly threat of hypothermia crept closer. And then at last, faint lights appeared on the dark horizon. The Nord-Norge had done it. The rescue ship had found them. One by one, all 154 people were pulled to safety. And now we reach the part of this story that defies belief. Not a single person died that night. Not one of them. Every soul aboard survived the night the explorer sank. They were rescued just 2 hours before a violent storm hit the area. Had that storm arrived even slightly earlier, this story ends in tragedy. And that is exactly why people now call it the Anti-Titanic. The same icy killer, but this time, every single person lived. Later, an official investigation revealed the real truth. The ship itself hadn't failed. Its strong hull had held for years. The entire disaster came down to one single human misjudgment. The captain had mistaken deadly old ice for harmless young ice. And experts agreed completely. The explorer should never have sunk. The toughest ship in all of Antarctica, beaten by one decision. Today, its quiet wreck rests on the seafloor near Penguin Island. More than 1,000 meters down, lost in cold and darkness. The pioneer that first opened Antarctica to the entire world now sleeps there forever, beneath the ice it once conquered. If this story gripped you, subscribe for more dark tales like it. Just one like and one subscribe helps these stories reach more people. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.